Hooray! I guess that did it.
Welcome to Ms. Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 mistakes that were left in classic Hollywood movies.
Sing it loud. In the Romeo Foxtrot, shall we dance?
For this list, we'll be ranking the instances where goofs or mistakes weren't caught during the production of these old-school Hollywood classics. Were you aware of all of these? Did any surprise you? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Wreath Magic. It's a Wonderful Life. Even the best and most well-regarded films possess their fair share of continuity errors. This most certainly applies to the world of classic Hollywood films as well. It's a Wonderful Life is one such example. Here, the timeless holiday favorite features a little Christmas magic in the form of a disappearing, reappearing wreath. It occurs when George Bailey enters the Bedford Falls Savings and Loan Building.
Extra! Read all about it.
When we see him open the door, he's holding a Christmas wreath. George then gets word that there's a phone call for him, and he lays down the wreath.
It's Harry now, a long distance from Washington.
Harry, what do you know about...
Hey, he reversed the charges. It's okay, isn't it?
Reverse the charges of Washington for a hero?
In the next shot, when he's picking up the phone, the wreath has returned to its place on Bailey's arm. Number 9. Mismatched taps. Singin' in the Rain. Audio discrepancies can also result in some embarrassing movie gaffes for filmmakers, even those as experienced as Singin' in the Rain director Stanley Donen and his star Gene Kelly.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Here, the audio department doesn't perfectly match up the tap dancing noises to Kelly's educated feet. It's honestly difficult to point out for the average viewer, requiring a truly studious eye and ear to notice the inconsistencies.
I'm happy again.
However, if you've seen Singin' in the Rain 100 times as one of your favorite films, then you've likely noticed how the tapping sounds don't always align perfectly with Kelly's dancing. There are even instances where we hear tapping while the man's feet aren't moving. Number 8. Culinary Customs. Lawrence of Arabia. Movie mistakes are a weird business. Sometimes, it all just comes down to not doing one's research. This was the likely culprit behind the faux pas in 1962's Lawrence of Arabia. Lead Peter O'Toole uses his left hand to take food during a scene that may seem otherwise innocuous.
Bad food.
However, a little research will reveal that this actually goes against custom in the Middle East, with that hand being reserved for bathroom use and not used to eat.
More?
One could argue that O'Toole's T.E. Lawrence might have just been unaware of this custom. But given the fact that his native guide also doesn't mention anything or react to the incident, leads many to believe that this was a mistake. Number 7. Those aren't loaded. Apocalypse Now. It seems fairly obvious. Load the musical reels into the machine during the iconic Ride of the Valkyries sequence from Apocalypse Now.
We're coming low out of the rising sun, and about a mile out we'll put on the music. Music? Yeah, use Wagner.
However, given that we know how harrowing and troubled this shoot was for director Francis Ford Coppola and crew during production, it sort of makes sense that this detail was overlooked.
Sing it loud. In the Romeo Foxtrot, shall we dance?
It may seem minor, but the scene is so well known and so otherwise well actualized that it's sort of funny to watch this today. If this PSYOP mission was to have actually taken place, then Wagner's iconic musical score would have sounded like so much reel-to-reel tape flapping in the breeze. Number 6. Cover Your Ears. North by Northwest. We wish all movie mistakes were this precocious and cute.
Just a second, you.
Stay away from me. Let go.
After all, it's difficult to blame child actors for not being able to fully immerse themselves in their work. North by Northwest features a now famous scene where a young extra takes center stage with one adorable little move.
Save the phony tears. You little fool.
If you look closely, you can see a young boy place his fingers in his ears right before a loud gunshot is set off. This is due to the fact that Hitch and his crew had done multiple takes of the scene, so the extra knew what was going to happen. However, no one else in the scene is supposed to know, so we can't help but have our eyes drawn to the boy every time. Number 5. Reading Lips, A Streetcar Named Desire. We may all believe there's an actor within us just waiting to get out.
Okay, well, I get the idea, but...
It's easy to forget, however, that it can be a difficult profession, particularly when it comes to acting 101, remembering those lines. As such, it's easy to infer that Hollywood icon Marlon Brando seems to be using some sort of mnemonic device to remember his lines and cues here in A Streetcar Named Desire.
Well, I see you boys are still at it.
Where you been?
Blanche and I took you to show.
It takes place during the poker scene early on in the film. As Kim Hunter's Stella is speaking her lines, Brando seems to be mimicking her speech, as if to cue and lead himself in for when it's his turn to say his lines. Hey, even the best need a little help once in a while, right?
How much longer is this game going to continue?
Till we get ready to quit.
You should call it quits after one more hand.
Number 4. Light bulb anachronism. Gone with the Wind. Hey, here's a question. Were light bulbs invented during the Civil War? If you answered no, then maybe you should have worked on the production crew for 1939's Gone with the Wind.
Take the lamp out on the floor.
That's because there are a number of scenes featuring electric lamps with cords and light bulbs, resulting in a serious anachronism problem.
Oh, it isn't possible.
Does it take away from the film's grand, sweeping story? Frankly, Mojoholics, we don't give a damn. Sorry, we couldn't resist. The real answer is no, not really. But it's difficult not to notice once the mistake has been pointed out.
I don't think we better say any more, or one of us will be saying too much.
Number 3. Wedding Ring. Double Indemnity. We realize that actors don't always need to resemble the characters they play on screen. However, certain characteristics should probably be applied to certain physical performances in order to generate the necessary atmosphere.
So we just sat there. And she started crying softly like the rain on the window, and we didn't say anything.
1944's Double Indemnity features a character named Walter Neff, a supposed bachelor who's portrayed by actor Fred MacMurray, who was married. The only problem is that MacMurray leaves his wedding ring on. Given the fact that Double Indemnity also features Barbara Stanwyck, whose Phyllis Dietrichson intentionally flirts with Neff, MacMurray's character flirts back, his apparent marriage all but forgotten.
There's a speed limit in this state, Mr. Neff. 45 miles an hour.
How fast was I going, officer?
I'd say around 90.
Suppose you get down off your motorcycle and give me a ticket.
Suppose I let you off with a warning this time.
Suppose it doesn't take.
Number 2. Dorothy in Black Shoes, The Wizard of Oz. Fun fact, tin is naturally resistant to corrosion and, as a result, takes a long time to rust. So this might count as a flub from 1939's The Wizard of Oz.
How did you ever get like this?
Well, about a year ago, I was chopping that tree when suddenly it began to rain. And right in the middle of the chop, I rusted solid. I've been that way ever since.
What's most definitely a mistake is the continuity error that occurs when Dorothy and the Scarecrow are getting harassed by the apple trees. The Scarecrow is goading the trees into tossing apples at him, and we catch a brief glimpse of Dorothy reacting as he falls.
Hooray! I guess that did it.
Here, we can clearly see that her iconic ruby slippers have disappeared, replaced with a pair of unassuming black kicks. It's really brief, but there if you pay close attention.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Eyes of Death, Psycho. Death can be shot in many different ways, depending on the film. The best death scenes are supervised by those with a strong knowledge of what exactly happens when this occurs to the human body. The fact that Marion Crane's eyes are open after the iconic scene from Psycho is anatomically correct. This is because the eyelids don't naturally close at the point of death, contrary to what we see in so many other films. However, actress Janet Leigh's pupils should have been dilated by someone on set in order to properly depict the act of death. The fact that Crane's pupils are contracted is a mistake, albeit one that most moviegoers probably never even noticed.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from Ms. Mojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.